This is episode 127 of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast. On this episode, we'll actually talk about baseball. A thing actually happened this time. A little bit of QB carousel talk, and then of course we'll round it out with some AEW. If I mention WWE, it'll be mostly to make fun of. Best of luck to Big E. He's broken. So is my back. On this episode of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast. By the way, lest I get any complaints, I'm not downplaying Big E's injury. It's actually a lot more serious. But I did kind of screw up my back. So that's been fun for me this weekend. Anyway, David, how's it going?
Good. I was going to mention Big E as well, so I'm glad you brought it up. But apparently he has movement in all his extremities, which is great.
Yep.
So for those of you who don't know, he broke his neck off a suplex. He was basically suplexed onto his head on TV on Friday. And so he is in the hospital recovering from a broken neck, but it sounds like all is going to be good. I mean, at least in terms of his life. I don't know about what it means for his wrestling career or not, but he's not paralyzed, and that is a good thing.
I agree with that. Now, it's funny. It's interesting that it happened on a suplex because Big E has had a propensity in the past. He's kind of done the move where basically he throws himself through the ropes. I forget the name of it. Basically, where he just jumps out through the ropes. But for a guy that size, like a guy as big as he is, he's had moments where he like dangerously almost falls on his head doing that himself. So like it's like he's got a death wish trying to break his neck, and it turns out that what actually did it was a suplex where the guy just wasn't quite able to rotate him enough. And it's unfortunate. I from everything I saw, from what I caught a little bit of it, is it seemed like it was an accident. He was trying his best to rotate him, but he needed to throw him a little bit further to make it work. Unfortunate for Big E. We'll see. The key is to focus on the recovery piece. I'm not so worried about his wrestling career, but we'll see what happens. Guys have come back from that type of injury before, and it seems like he's on the road to recovery. But it was also, and a valid point that was made, it happened in kind of a nothing match that really didn't need to occur. And also at this point, like, why bother having a guy like Big E be suplexed in a nothing match? You can be ground based. You can do a lot of just like, punches and kicks and keep it really basic, especially when there's nothing specific they need to be doing. No sense in doing a danger spot because Xavier Woods of New Day is already injured. Big E's now injured, and I think they were going to do something with New Day at WrestleMania, but 2/3 of the team is injured. So it's like, Kofi Kingston, do your thing. It's like, what am I supposed to do? So we'll see what happens with that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. But best wishes for a speedy recovery.
Yep. All right. So. Quickly, if you want to add anything, we can do that. Otherwise, we can get to everybody's favorite commissioner that everyone loves.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's get into it. We're going to talk a little Major League Baseball. Wrong one. I'm leaving it in.
Was that intentional?
No, I actually clicked on the wrong one.
Oh,
they're literally one above the other.
All right.
Yeah. It would have been funny, but that isn't actually why I did it. I did it because I clicked on the wrong one.
Okay. Because anyway, that would be in your wheelhouse to do it intentionally.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it would be. The key is, remember, back then. So when I've got my arm over here to be dramatic, and then I got my hand over here with the mouse to actually click on the thing, it's like, it's a little bit, hold on, I got to move it angle-wise.
And your back is thrown out, so it's harder to do this week than it is.
Yeah. No. Right now, I'm not operating here at 100%. I'm doing the best I can, but it's not quite right. Anyway, all right. Rob Manfred finally got out of the way, sort of potentially apologized-ish. He tried. Anyway, they came to a deal on the CBA, a tentative deal. Obviously, some changes incorporated, universal DH, as well as I believe they're going to incorporate a few other rule changes, decreasing the shift. I forget the exact details of that. And didn't they change the size of the bases a little bit as well? Is that another thing
yes,
on there?
That is something that they did.
Yeah. So truthfully, don't care. The size of the bases, I'm not attached to the size of the bases. I don't care. The thing with the shift, I'm not bothered by it. Like I'm not such a baseball purist and oh my God, the sanctity of the shift. My preference would have been for the hitters to adapt and to learn to hit the ball the other way. But that would be better. But look, if you want to do it, fine. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference in the product. I don't think any of those changes really change the issue. And I believe, don't they also have the pitch clock they're going to add?
You know what? I did not see that in the things that I looked at. I mean, obviously there's the money part of it. They're going to get paid more, or at least the minimum is going to be made, right? It's a 23% increase in terms of the minimum salary. So this year, minimum salary is going to be $700,000, and by the end of the deal, it's going to raise to $780,000.
Yep.
So there's that. You mentioned some of the other things. The other thing I think that is a 12-team postseason.
Yeah, 12-team postseason. I've got it here.
So
CBA
that's
tier.
different.
Yeah,
Meaning
pre-arbitration
the
bonus
top
pool.
2 division winners are doing. There's going to be a first round bye, which will be interesting. I think just because of the layoff and obviously how they can set things up, but that doesn't always work for teams. So we'll see if that's becomes an issue or not. And then there's a few stipulations in there for service time and aiming at hopefully lack of service time manipulation, an international draft. But I have not seen anything about anything to do with timing.
Yeah, and then I believe from what I understand here, the CBA also put in a 6-team draft lottery.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, if that's right. Yep. So anyway, whatever. That's fine. Uh, Honestly, I'm not really moved by a lot of those changes. Like, look, whatever, do your thing. Like I mentioned, I got my Aussie rules, so I'm good. I was good either way. So y'all do you. Either way, the regular season doesn't start until April, so they are going to get it done. They are going to get started close. And then I think the other thing is that they will be doing it with a 160-game schedule, and they will have double headers that will be a full 9 innings. It will not be 7-inning double headers. So they will be operating on that with in order to try to make up the season with a little bit of a truncated window. A couple of weeks off, but then they get started. And with the additional playoff teams, for some people, be like, "Oh, the postseason doesn't mean as much." Oh, look, the other sports have like 16 teams in it. So, and the NFL, I think, has 12 as well, or maybe is it 12 or
No, it was 14 this year.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, whatever. As far as I'm concerned, makes no difference to me. I think most of that's fine. So we'll see. Anything else then you want to take away as far as that's concerned, or are we good with
The
that?
Blue Jays better make the playoffs now. That is a key.
I'm more interested if they make the playoffs and are set up to actually do anything, damage-wise. Just making the playoffs, That's why I say, like, that's always been the thing with hockey that I've talked about. It's like, look, just making the playoffs in a league where now double-digit teams make the playoffs is not that impressive to me. What you do with that opportunity, if you're in the tournament, you have an opportunity. So I'm glad for that, but you got to actually do something with the opportunity. So hopefully, then that, if nothing else, that means that we theoretically shouldn't have the long drought between playoff appearances. Because the whole thing from 93 till 2015, the reason it was so significant is because it was over 20 years between playoff appearances.
But under this format, that would never have happened.
That should not be an issue again. That's right. So anyway, so that's fine. I think
unless you're like Baltimore or a team like that. But hey,
well, that's exactly it. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that kind of thing plays out.
But you never know. They can catch lightning in a bottle one year, and well, we'll see. I mean, I don't think there's anything that's. You know what? Honestly, Carlos, I think when you look at this, when I look at it and what's been decided, especially since there's no real, what's the word, changes in order to make things faster or the product more interesting, other than possibly the universal DH. I mean, that's, there are people who like hitters batting, and then there's the majority of people.
You mean pitchers?
Isn't that what I said?
You said hitters batting.
Oh, no.
It's like, yes, we all like hitters batting.
Yes,
we
pitchers,
all agree
right?
that hitters batting is good.
There's people who like pitchers batting, and then there's, the other 99% of people.
Yeah. To be honest, it's embarrassing watching these pitchers try to hit. It's a waste of my time. So I'm very content and very happy to see, like, please just put in hitters. And that should help a little bit with the offense side of things. Again, to your point, though, it doesn't really address the issues of the flow, doesn't address the issues of the timing, and I didn't think it would. That's kind of why I wasn't too worried about it. It's like
so my question on that though, then is fine. Okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. I think that's a mistake, but that's my opinion. Why did it take so long then?
Posturing.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, if you're gonna, I feel like based on the end result, I think there was needless posturing and other things, that didn't need to happen, and they could have done this a lot sooner.
Well, that's testament to a long-standing history of the two sides not being serious about actually trying to advance it for their collective benefit. It's been a situation where the owners for a long time tried to take, and the players got fed up with it. So this is probably the first CBA in the last couple where the players actually got any meaningful concessions. But at the end of the day, the owners still got a lot of what they wanted. So it's one of those things where it was when you're conducting a negotiation, grow. So that we both have to be invested in the success of this endeavor. If it's just a matter of, I want to extract whatever I can out of this deal, and the other side is like, you've been taking from us so long, we're upset about it, so we're going to get back at you. That is not the basis of a legitimate collective bargaining negotiation. And you're going to end up with this endless posturing where everybody just is playing up to the public. In reality, if you'd wanted to get it done, you've had months and months and months where you could have been sitting in the room 3 or 4 months ago, have meetings every single day, lobbing proposals back and forth, and you would have had it done back in December if you really wanted to. It could have been done. Or by January, and you would have never even, it would have never been a discussion to miss a single spring training game. The fact that Rob Manfred and the owners decided to institute a lockout when they didn't need to expedite the process, and then just hung out and chilled for 45 days. What does that tell you?
Yeah, exactly.
So nobody was really serious about getting it done early or getting it done quickly because they didn't act in that manner. They acted not according to that. They acted according to, like, we're just going to play posturing. We're going to do a little show of this, and eventually we'll come together and, all right, we'll do the 162 games. What the heck? So as a fan, I don't think I'd be that satisfied with it. But as a person who kind of understood this going into the process, I'm unmoved. I'm good with it either way. Whatever. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. QB carousel. There's a couple different ones. There's some fun ones. Let me do the Aaron Rodgers thing quickly. I think it's a mistake. They didn't. I think it's a coup. I was betrayed by my fellow NFL owners. I think they did this in the middle of the night. This was a secret thing. I was ready to throw him in the river. We had it all figured out. I even had my throwing Aaron Rodgers into river gloves. I had ordered them from Amazon. They were on the way. And then I found out that they signed an extension. I was like, damn it. I was lied. I was bamboozled. This is very disappointing. This is very disappointing, Dave.
I hear you, man. You know, I was wondering, you know, when I saw it happen, what does Carlos have to say about this? And, you know, who's getting fired over this?
Oh, heads are going to roll, man. Like, I'm just prepared to go on a firing spree to end all firing sprees. Vince McMahon thinks that he cut people. Vince McMahon thinks he did budget cuts. David, hold my keg of beer. Heads will roll. I will hire people for the sole express purpose of immediately firing them. There will be firings to end all firings.
I like it. I like it.
This will be resolved. Don't worry there. So anyway, Aaron Rodgers thing. All right, you're going to extend it. You know, the team will still be competitive, I think. It'll be a playoff team. What happens beyond that? Probably not much. I'm not terribly optimistic because I think the team will still be good. I'm not going to say no, but I think they'd still have some cap issues to work out.
Yeah.
I think Devontae Adams will eventually be gone. You know, I think they franchise tagged him, if memory serves me. So, you know, that's fine. You want to extend it one more. A player isn't going to be happy with a franchise tag, so I don't know if they'll be able to negotiate something with him. But if they make him a highly paid wide receiver, I don't think that's going to work very well. I don't have any confirmation on what Aaron Rodgers actually received. The dollar figure that's put out there, the $50 million a year thing, I don't think that's true because it would basically hamstring them to the point that they would basically have to give away every single receiver and player they have. And then Aaron Rodgers must play offense, defense, and special teams. And I don't think that's going to work very well.
Yeah.
So I don't think realistically, signing the extension means he's going to make a lot of money. Signing the extension means he will probably retire as a Packer. Fair enough. That's great. I still don't think this marriage makes sense at this point. I think it would have made more sense to let him go and get something for him, and start the rebuild process. Most likely then Jordan Love will get moved. I think that's the next just shoot a drop, because if you're going to keep him around longer, then Jordan Love there's no point in letting him sit around when you have to figure out if you want to extend him for the fifth year rookie option thing. So it's like, move him on. See who needs a young quarterback who nobody knows much about because we haven't had the chance to see him much.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of teams a lot of teams will take a flyer on that. So other thing, Carson Wentz got shipped off to Washington. So that was to be expected. I did read an Athletic article talking about it. It's not predominantly a football thing. Carson Wentz seems to have some issue right now wherever he goes. So that'll be another opportunity for him. And probably this is the last legitimate shot he's got. He's going to have to find a way to make this work with Washington if he expects to continue to be an NFL starting quarterback somewhere or anywhere. So we've got that. And Russell Wilson in Denver. Any thoughts you got on that one?
I mean, I think the Denver one, like Russell Wilson in Denver, I think is the most interesting one to me.
Yeah. The other two were almost a fait accompli. Rodgers was either going to go somewhere or the Packers are going to re-sign him. Fine. You extended him. Great. Okay. If you notice though, this other stuff happened right after the Rodgers thing got announced. As soon as the Rodgers thing was put out there, all of a sudden, Denver, boom. And then soon after the Carson Wentz thing, boom. And now Deshaun Watson has been cleared of criminal charges. Where should we send Deshaun to now?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, so the dominoes started to immediately fall after that, which is fine. But I do agree. I think the The Russell Wilson thing in Denver is the most intriguing. I think it makes them a contender because Denver was a decent team minus a quarterback. And Russell Wilson certainly is a quarterback, and he's younger than a lot of the other guys we're mentioning, except Wentz. Wentz is actually still pretty young. But Russell Wilson's got good football around him, still left in him. The question is, is the change of scenery enough? Do they have enough personnel to make it good? I think they do. I think the team is decent, and then adding him is just another element of it. I think Seattle got a lot of good draft capital, so a lot of opportunity to do some stuff with that, and they got some players, so that's nice for them. And then obviously Seattle now is a player for potentially a Deshaun Watson or something like that. Could be.
Yeah.
So that could be an approach for them. But it makes things a lot more interesting. The AFC
that
got a little
is
bit
for
more
sure.
stacked. The AFC got a little bit more stacked.
Yeah.
So,
And it's interesting that the I don't think the AFC did, and I don't think the NFC. Nothing really changes in the NFC.
no,
right? They don't have-
Seattle wasn't going to change the balance of power in the NFC. The NFC was the weaker conference, and it remains the weaker conference.
Yeah, even with Aaron Rodgers resigning. I mean, I don't think is Green Bay still a contender? Sure, right? I think as long as you have Rodgers playing as well as he is right now, they're going to be in contention. I don't think that means they're going to be a favorite for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think realistically, based on the makeup of the teams right now, as we speak, I think you have to go with the Rams as the favorite in the NFC again.
I think yes, but like on paper. Because
I agree. I know for sure.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is a prohibitive favorite in the NFC. I think maybe the Packers' thought process, if I was trying to get in their heads, again, they didn't consult me because, they messed up. They should have asked me. I would have said no. I would have vetoed it. But I think their thought process is, even though there are a lot of questions, I think the thought process is the NFC is kind of weak right now. There's a real chance we could just run it back and maybe get back to the NFC Championship under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
If the chips fall our way, we'll have at least a chance. And then we get to the game, who knows? A couple of things bounce our way, we get to the Super Bowl. Now, I would put them as the underdog against whoever came out of the AFC because I think it'll be a murderer's row in the AFC. I think there's a lot of good teams that are going to be coming out of the AFC this time around.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think your better chance right now, getting through the NFC to get to the Super Bowl, I think you got a better shot. The Packers are certainly capable of doing that if a few things fall their way. But so are the Rams, obviously. If a few things fall their way, they could be right there too. So
Yeah,
there you go.
Definitely.
So that
So
is
we'll
the
see what happens.
foosball. That is the foosball. Now, time for the AEW. Okay, so there's a couple of things we can talk about on this. So I'll tell you what, I'll let you have first crack. Is there anything in particular you want to touch on? I got a couple.
Well,
of
I
things
think I think. Well, actually, I have. Can I before we get in? Actually, yeah, let's get it before.
Okay.
So I heard something on another podcast this week, and I'm curious as to what your take is on this.
Uh-huh.
And then I have a specific takeaway from Revolution that I would like to mention.
Sure.
Actually, two. There's two things I want to talk about as related to that card. So first of all, is it came up that it came out as in relation to AEW. It came out based on CM Punk's comments afterwards about Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with those?
Yeah, he did his post conference and he lavished praise upon Bret Hart. Yes.
Yeah. And it it still seems that there are there's two camps really. There's still the Bret camp and there's still the Shawn camp.
This is what's being okay. Go ahead.
Hold on. So, no, but the thing is that so this podcast was talking about the idea of people who emulate their style after one or the other.
Yeah.
And the thesis, to get to the point quicker, is that more people have emulated Shawn, and that's bad for wrestling. Even though they will acknowledge that Shawn Michaels is one of the best of all time as a wrestler.
Okay.
So, thoughts, Carlos? And then I'll tell you what podcast it was if you want to know.
I'm trying to think. I could see people trying to emulate Shawn Michaels, but his style was... If the idea here is the high flyers, Shawn Michaels definitely could, but he wasn't a high flyer.
I think one of the things that was specifically referenced was things like super kicks and things like that.
Sure. But that's the same as the way...
As a sort of... And I guess that in some ways it's a less serious style, if you will.
Okay. So that's more what the indie style... If by that argument, the entire independent wrestling scene was mimicking Shawn Michaels. But here's the problem. The super kick is a move. The DDT became the most generic move in a wrestler's arsenal. When Jake the Snake Roberts did it, it was a finisher. When Jake the Snake Roberts did it, it ended
there's a few
the
things
match.
like that too, right?
Yeah.
That were extremely important moves, or were finishers, I should say, sometimes,
Yeah.
right? And now are just run of the mill things.
Yeah. But a lot of it, though, depends on who's delivering it. And a lot of it depends on. So Paul Heyman once did an interview where he talked about this concept about a finisher. And his point was, if you get the right guy, you can get any move over. I'm paraphrasing, but that was kind of his point. Because he said, he used an example. He used like Mark Henry. You think of Mark Henry, world's strongest man, the whole bit. And he goes, imagine if I wanted to get Mark Henry to put over a relatively simple rudimentary move. Mark Henry, we all know, is super strong. Like,
Yes.
legitimately super strong.
Absolutely.
A regular person, we talk about a headlock. A headlock is a straightforward standard move.
Yes.
Pretty common. If Mark Henry had you in a headlock and he just did a thing where he just cranks the headlock to the point that it looks like he's squeezing your head until it's about to pop, could you buy that as being a finisher from Mark Henry?
Yeah.
That's the point. The headlock is the most rudimentary move. Nobody would get finished by a headlock unless it's being delivered by Mark Henry. Unless Mark Henry has chosen to make it so that he will treat it as, if I'm squeezing your head, I'm going to squeeze until your head's about to crack, and I'm going to destroy your skull and crack it like an egg.
Right.
So from Mark Henry, you start doing that. At first, people are like, he's finishing people with a headlock? And then after a while, it's like, yeah, the headlock of doom. Like, whatever you want to call it. But from Mark Henry, you would buy it. From somebody else, just, you get Marco Stunt does a headlock, everybody just laughs.
Yeah, well,
It's not this, but it's the same move. It's not just what you did, it's how you did it, how you delivered it, how you presented it. And so the point is, the DDT has been downplayed as a move. However, the paradigm shift is a modified DDT.
Right.
John Moxley manages to get that as a finisher. It works, right?
Yeah.
What's it called? So a lot of the regular powerbomb. The powerbomb is kind of a standard move in wrestling at this point. There's like 15 of them per match. It's a lot of times. If Wardlow delivers a powerbomb, it's a finisher.
Well, it's because he does them in a row, right? If he did just one power bomb.
No, but
I mean, I guess it could still work.
Wardlow could still do one. If Wardlow just delivered one solid powerbomb, you could sell that as a finisher. Coming from Wardlow. But you got to get regular guy. If it's in a Young Bucks match, power bomb into a DDT, into a tornado DDT, into a Meltzer driver, into a super kick party, into the knee. Then it finishes them. It's like 15 high spots at the same time, and then they're finished.
Right.
After kicking out the first 3 or 4 times they did it. You get my point?
I do.
So it's not just what they did, and also think of some finishers, and I'll go to WWE. The bank statement is basically just a straightforward, kind of submission move. But so many people have gotten out of that over the years. However, when Sasha Banks does it, usually they're pretty good about protecting. It's what you choose to protect. Do you protect the move? Or do you just treat it as a thing? Jade's finisher, Jaded. That's basically the same move as the Glam Slam that Beth Phoenix used to do. It's the same move as Taya Valkyrie does that move as well. So there's like 3 or 4 women that have done that same kind of move. You have to be pretty strong to do it because you're lifting somebody up and then dropping them forward. But technically, all you're doing is dropping them forward. It's like a graceful fall.
Yeah.
Technically, should that finish anybody? No. But if you protect it over the years, yeah, it's a finisher. It just has to finish people. If it does it consistently, people are like, okay, cool, we're good.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's
that's another complaint I have about wrestling in general right now. Yeah. Is that there's too many finishing moves that get kicked out of.
Yeah, and that's a decision. I would agree. Here's maybe a better example of exactly what you're talking about, and this would be the way that I would present it about the finishing move thing. Now, I'll come back to the Shawn Michaels thing in 2 seconds.
Okay.
The finishing move thing, a better example that I would give you, where I will critique AEW for this, but it's because the folks that are helping to set up the matches, which are former wrestlers, by the way, they have some input in this. If I was them, I would position it so that, hey, I want you to get in your big move, but let's pick our spots. I don't want you to do it mid-match. Let's set up some of these to be finishers. Because there was a match on Rampage where, I want to say Isaiah Cassidy, or maybe it was the other one, Mark Quinn. I think it was Mark Quinn. He did a 450 splash to the outside and nailed it beautifully on Darby Allin. Like, it was clean. He hit it beautifully. But it was on the outside, so it didn't finish the match.
Yeah.
But he hit a perfect 450 splash. Like, perfect. It was magnificently done. Also in the same episode, Tony Nese hit a 450 as well. I'm like, guys, you can't both do a 450 on the same show. It decreases the specialness of it. It's like, as it turns out, AEW has a lot of very athletic guys who can hit that move. That move is actually hard to do. But if you see it 2 times on the same show, oh, it can't be that hard. Actually, it's very hard to do. Most people can't do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people would try and they would die. These guys happen to be able to be really good at it and can do it. They're actually special, but you book them on the same show to hit the same move.
Right.
That was a bad idea. If I was them, I would be like, hey, Tony, maybe hit a different move. Because he's got a lot of moves in his arsenal. He didn't have to do the 450. He could have done something else. Do a frog splash, change it up, do something else.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah. But that's also the guy helping them with it. Because they have somebody in the back who's helping them figure out the match. All right, what do you want to do? You want to hit it like this and set up this thing, and this is how we're going to finish it, and blah, blah, blah. You have that conversation. In the course of the conversation, he says, hey, I want to hit a 450. It's like, hey, sounds good, but we're going to have one of those right before you guys. Mm-hmm. Are you sure you want to replicate the exact same move right before, right after it's just been done on the same show? Okay, maybe I'll switch it up. We'll do a slightly different spot. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
But that's a conversation they got to have. And it's not meant to be bad. I still want Tony Nese to hit a 450, just not tonight. Let's pick a different spot to do it. Maybe an episode of Dynamite. Hey, Tony, it's just you. Hit the 450. Make it happen. You can do that. That's a conversation you can have. No problem. But that's how you present it. It's got to be like, I'm not taking stuff away from you. I want you to do something awesome. I want you to do something spectacular. I know you want to entertain the crowd. Let's pick our spots a little bit. The same thing happened with Sammy Guevara when he lost his AEW, the TBS championship. Sorry, the TNT championship. When he lost the TNT championship, he lost it because he did a 450 onto a table. Did you notice I'm saying 450 a lot?
Yes, I do.
But he's also a guy who can deliver it. He's very good at it. Again, but the problem is I'm seeing it from all of you within the same week. It's too many variants.
There's nothing special about it, and there should be for a move like that.
Yeah, they are blessed to have a roster of extremely athletic guys who are not hitting it sloppy. They're actually hitting it clean. All of them are hitting it clean, which is good. But I don't want to see you all do it the same week.
Yeah.
This should be your turn. If you're going to hit the 450, the rest of you, not this week. Let's do it next week or the week after, or save it for the pay-per-view, because maybe at the pay-per-view, we pull out all the stops and we hit the really crazy spots. Let's save it for the pay-per-view or the special or the big show, whatever. So it goes back to that. So now about the Shawn Michaels thing, I think Shawn Michaels' style is kind of unique to Shawn Michaels. Yes, he has a lot of the flashiness. Yes, he does a lot of that stuff. I do agree that they could have a little bit higher impact stuff. But some of that is how the guys are trained. Some of them are more interested in really having fancy looking moves. And in fairness, that goes back even earlier because I'll give you a guy, Rob Van Dam. Mm-hmm. He's a guy who had very flashy, tons of amazing moves, but like his punches are pathetic. Some of his kicks are really very flashy in the way that they're almost like Jean-Claude Van Damme-esque Van Damme. But a lot of those kicks don't look like they make contact at the time, but they're artistic. Like they're very, but they're impressive looking. And the fact he can do all those things is incredibly impressive. But then occasionally he'll go like his frog splash has huge impact. So like he'll have the moves that have like super high impact and these other ones that look like you're waving it in the person's general direction and their job is to go down.
Yeah.
So Shawn Michaels wasn't the first. And in reality, a super kick is kind of a weak move to finish things on. The sweet chin music is actually a really weak super kick. Some of the super kicks I see from the imitators are much better looking. Ironically, it's actually a really bad super kick that Shawn Michaels does. But he knows how to sell it. He knows how to build up to it. But they also protected it. They treated it where sweet chin music generally ended the match.
Yeah.
It's how you treat it, right?
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, so hopefully that covers that. One more thing I want to touch on real quick, and then we'll hit on anything else you want to touch on. I'm glad that they did not do the title change for Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa.
Okay, so this is one of the two things I wanted.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to make sure we got to this one. I'm glad they didn't do it for the reasons that I outlined prior to, and where they put it on that pay-per-view slot. And I'm glad we get a chance to talk about it now. Would have been death. They stuck it right between a dog collar match and Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. That would not have worked. That would have gotten like 40% of the reaction that you wanted on a title change.
Now, was it a good match? I've heard very mixed.
It's okay. It was okay. It wasn't their best. So that's why I mean, like, to me, I feel like they both worked hard. I don't think it was their best match. Those two. It was put in the middle of a dead spot, And from what I understand, when Tony Khan was going back and forth, changing his mind, he basically pulled a Vince McMahon on that match. He changed his mind a couple of different times on how they wanted to finish it. That was the one match on the card where they were changing their mind on how they wanted to finish it up until the day of, which is usually not his style. Usually like, this is how we're going to finish it. This is what we're going to do. Here we go. You can tell based on what happened after that, that was a last minute decision and it was the correct decision. But because it's last minute, the end result was it was disjointed. They weren't really prepared to get to the finish the way they probably would have wanted to. They had way too much interference. It made sense, but at the same time, it kind of diminished what they were doing. They were stuck between a dog collar match that had a very strong reaction with CM Punk and MJF, and Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley was just going to be hard hitting, and they're both really good at what they do. So you were stuck in a dead zone where, by the way, you're gonna get like a third the reaction that you normally would get because you're in a dead zone right now.
Yeah.
And if they had done that title change, it would have been meaningless. Nobody would have cared. Nobody would have remembered. Putting it in, I think it's San Antonio, whatever. They're going to put the match in San Antonio in a cage. Like I said, would have made more sense anyway. My preference would have been to do like a tag team match in that one and then get you to the cage in the San Antonio thing. It would have been better because then you could have it in the main event, which would make more sense. You'll get the reaction. You'll get the proper slotting. You'll be in a better spot.
Yeah.
So we're going to get there. But the reason I know is last minute, the reason I know they're going to have a bit of a problem going forward here with this one is that as soon as the match was over, they almost immediately declared that Thunder Rosa was immediately in a title eliminator match with legit Layla Hirsch, where the winner would then face Britt Baker at the very next Wednesday Dynamite. And Layla Hirsch had just won a match with Chris Statlander that night in the pre-show, which, by the way, was a good match. I thought they did a good job. But, like, Layla Hirsch just got into a title eliminator 3 seconds after beating Chris Statlander, and Thunder Rosa, who just lost, then gets put into a title eliminator instead of an automatic rematch. So she has to beat Layla Hirsch to get a rematch that she got screwed out of in a cage in her hometown. I was like, guys, that you just told me that this isn't the way you mapped it out.
Yeah.
And the match with Thunder Rosa and Layla Hirsch, by the way, wasn't good. So I don't know if Thunder Rosa is injured right now or whatever because she's got the leg taped up. She might be hurt. But she's not really. She's had a couple of matches against a variety of opponents that in a series have not been good. Layla Hirsch is still spotty, hit and miss, but with Chris Statlander it was good. With Thunder Rosa, it felt like Layla Hirsch was trying not to lay in anything. Like her offense looked really weak. It was like she was trying not to hurt Thunder Rosa. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I was getting out of it.
Right.
Because it felt like she wasn't trying to hit her very hard. Whereas with Chris Statlander, they were going back and forth and being a little bit more physical. It felt like almost like kid gloves. You were trying to like, your job here is that Thunder Rosa is going to win this. Go on to the match. You're here. But I'm like, well, then why waste Layla Hirsch? She just had a big win. Give her somebody else that can afford to take a loss right after. You stunted Layla Hirsch's momentum because it barely just started. Thunder Rosa had kind of a weak match leading into obviously her title win. I don't know if it's going to get. We've got the right result. We've got the right location probably. We've got the right stipulation probably. But we're stumbling our way to the finish line here.
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at it. And I don't blame Britt Baker and I don't really blame Thunder Rosa. I just feel like at some point we lost our way. We got to where we were supposed to go, but we took the scenic route and then like the car broke down. And we're pushing it to the finish line. The car isn't even working. We're pushing it to the finish line.
Right.
So that's just kind of how I take it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good take.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now. It's like I feel like.
So when is the San Antonio cage match?
It's next week.
So you think the title will change hands next week?
I think they'll be in the main event in a steel cage match, and I think Thunder Rosa will get her big win in front of her hometown crowd. They will get a good reaction for her. It will be in the main event, which is correct. That's what and it'll feel like the right reaction that she should get, because with her hometown and everything, I think they will support her and give her the big cheers that she should get for a new title change. Oh, and by the way, one more thing, they introduced a new title during the pay-per-view without announcing it. Britt Baker literally came out with a new title. I was like, it's way better, by the way. I like the new title way better. But I was like,
you need a new belt. Right? That's what you're referring to.
Both. The thing is, title and belt are the same. But, WWE is the one who gets fixated on it. But both are correct. But here's the thing. Could you have said something in advance? Even in the go-home show? Oh, by the way, you'll be competing for this fancy new belt we just made up. Looks way better, right?
Yeah.
Literally, Britt Baker walks out with it. It's like, okay, That's how I knew Thunder Rosa was losing. In addition to all the logic that I implied to it, it's like you're not introducing a new belt with no fanfare in a dead spot in the middle of the pay-per-view where no stipulation and a new belt. Britt Baker's walking out of this with this belt.
Yeah.
Sorry. It would have made no sense to do anything else. Sorry. But that's why I say, like, you telegraphed this too much. And then during the pay-per-view, you told me about the title eliminator. Like, you literally just whipped this together. It's like I don't have time. Homework. It's like almost the deadline for the homework. Submit it. It's like, did you read it over? No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Tony, we got to do our homework in advance. We can't be doing it last minute. Not good. Not good. I think the result will be fine. Like I said, the result will be fine, but how we got there was weird. It was weird, man. Anyway, there you go. What was the other one you want to talk about?
William Regal.
What about him?
Well, I think it's a great hire for AEW.
100%.
For a variety of reasons. Mm-hmm. It's his promo that he did on this past Wednesday Dynamite was kind of weird, but other than that, and had a lot of people talking for a variety of reasons, including William Regal on Twitter. Mm-hmm. But I think having him in, and I'm also interested about how it's going to shake down with him with the pairing of Moxley and Danielson, because I think that's kind of interesting, and maybe not the obvious choice, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, I think what he can bring to AEW in terms of screen presence, in terms of training, right, I think is going to be invaluable if they listen to him.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying that I expect them not to. I'm not saying I think they're going to screw it up. Right. But there's always a chance that, think they don't play things the right way in any company. But I think if they use William Regal like the asset that he is, I think that's a huge deal for them.
I agree with that. And I think my belief is that a lot of the better talents in AEW are willing to take that input. Part of Britt Baker's improvement is because she reached out to Chris Jericho. She worked with with Arn Anderson and a couple of the other folks in there. Jade has cited in interviews that she is working on her wrestling technique with Bryan Danielson, who's pretty good at wrestling technique. So if you are working with one of the best in the world and you absorb any of this information, well, I would expect Jade to improve rapidly as we go along. Ty Conti has improved by leaps and bounds in the time that she's been there at AEW. Britt Baker, from the beginning of her time at AEW, she wasn't very good. Not on the microphone, not smooth in the ring all the time. It'd be spotty. She's a consistent worker now. She's one of the better women wrestlers in addition to being the champion. She's got the presentation. She can talk. She can work in the ring. Like I said, right now, the problem that I have with her and Thunder Rosa is a storyline problem. It's their build. But in the ring, the two can work. We already know they can. So if it's configured correctly and we know our destination and we're on the same page, I could see them having an excellent match to close off this segment of the feud. And then down the road, we'll continue from there. I expect Jade to keep improving, which, by the way, means with all her athletic talent, if she gets better in the ring every single time, that'll be amazing. Because here's another great one that effectively you got to build from the ground up. So that's a huge win for AEW. And she's already presented like a star, but if she continues to get better in ring, it all comes together. It all comes in. And they keep adding this amazing talent. So you're going to be very top heavy with a lot of good talent, and the women's division is getting better. The tag team division has been re-emphasized, so that's getting better. You may get a trios championship, which, by the way, those trios teams are going to be ridiculous. Those matches are going to be crazy. So
a lot of promise there.
You're going to be spoiled for choice. So I think, but I agree. And I like, though, that William Regal, at least, he makes sense working with those two because he does have history with both.
This is true.
Yeah, so like they're not just, oh yeah, William Regal here, stick him in the middle.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that his ability to have that relationship and his ability to talk on the mic and be a great character on screen is a lot of stuff that's going to really help the presentation of AEW and the potential storylines that could come in regards to that as well.
A few moments later.
So what was the last part of that?
I was just talking about how you never know what you're going to get on an Unnecessary Nonsense podcast. This is part of the Unnecessary Nonsense, is you getting up and getting a grocery order in the middle of the podcast.
Well, the best part is that you only get that in the Facebook version. I don't know if
Well, that's
anybody
what
ever
I'm saying.
sees the Facebook.
That's what I'm saying. If someone's watching right now, they're like, "What is going on?" And I'm like, "But this is what you should expect. Crazy shit like this."
Look, the important thing is great success.
But yeah,
I was
also,
getting thirsty, so it's time.
yeah, it's good. But no, I think yeah, William Regal for like potential storylines and everything, is great. Another point on this though, do you feel
Yep.
that AEW, like we know Tony Khan's the boss, but
Mm-hmm.
do you feel they need an on-screen figurehead who is not Tony Khan?
It does open up some possibilities with
Not
WWE.
necessarily saying it should be William Regal,
Yeah.
or right, but I think that's something.
I'm saying if you're going to bother with it, I would make it William Regal. There are a few guys who have the credibility of a William Regal. That's why he worked at NXT as the on-screen authority figure, in addition to working in the back with all the people and training and all that. Because he was a
and
lot
he
of
did
things.
commentary as well, right?
A little bit here and there, yeah. But his biggest contribution is that he worked in the back with a lot of folks because he's forgotten more wrestling than most people know. He's done a lot of different things in the business. So like he's wealth of knowledge. At this point, they're spoiled for choice as well as knowledgeable people. Jake the Snake Roberts' mind for wrestling is next level. You've got Tully Blanchard, who knows wrestling. You've got Arn Anderson, who knows wrestling. Like you've got all these guys who are experienced, super experienced. So you've got this wealth of information. You got Chris Jericho, who's still active as a performer, but also knows
Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, like you have no lack of people. Even Billy Gunn, who has had a tremendously long career, has been around and seen a lot of things and talked and worked with a lot of people. So that experience is there. It's present. How you want to leverage it, how you want to use it, that's up to you. I just feel like William Regal is like an exclamation point on this huge amount of talent, and he has immediate credibility because Bryan Danielson will be like, this guy helped teach me how to do what I do. If you think I do a good job, listen to this guy.
Yeah, for sure.
And the same thing with Moxley. It's like they have this immediately. He has credibility. If they didn't already know who William Regal is, it's like, by the way, he's plenty of people that will vouch for him that know like this dude knows everything you need to know. Listen to this man.
Yeah, exactly.
Take advantage of it. I would 100% take advantage of it. If I was any of the talents there who want to get better, listen to this guy. But if you're going to have an on-screen authority figure, yes. I actually think the bigger value for me, for him, would be if with the ROH acquisition, honestly, I would put him right at the top of the creative side of that. I would have him there because Tony Khan, I know, wants to be in charge of a lot of things, but it's no, you start off, figure out what you want to do vision-wise, get in the room with William Regal and be like, hey, I want you to do this thing with the tag team, be on screen, do this, help out anybody who needs any help. I need some help doing this ROH thing so we can work on some stuff. I'm going to bring some people over and we're going to do some stuff here. Can you help me out with this? Can we build a team over here that can do it? Because William Regal, I would trust William Regal to help run that. Tony Khan can still oversee. He could be like, hey, what are you guys working on? It's like, we're doing this, this, and this. Awesome. Do you need anything? Yep. Can you bring us over so-and-so for an angle we're going to do here with this guy? Perfect. Gives everybody a little more airtime. Brian Cage got extended. His contract's been extended. Brian Cage would be a good candidate for ROH then. If you don't have anything particular for him to do in AEW, great. Put him in ROH.
Yeah.
And he could have some great matches and things you could do. By the way, there are some other free agents. You may have heard of Cesaro. He has a history in ROH, by the way. You could put him in ROH. You could have Cesaro and Brian Cage in ROH beating each other up. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have all this talent, you actually have the opportunity to do something with some, like I said.
You
you
said,
could
sorry,
have,
so you said, so Brian Cage has been re-signed?
Yep. His contract was extended.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But
So-
yeah, I mean, because he hasn't really done anything.
That's my point. So if you're going to bother extending his contract instead of just letting it run out like you usually do with a lot of these guys, then in the back of your mind, you have to have some idea. So for me, it'd be like, okay, well, then you just completed this ROH acquisition. You said you're going to keep running shows. Okay. Introduce Brian Cage in ROH. I'm sure he wouldn't mind having something to do. Hey, go out and do the thing. Cool. Great.
Yeah.
Brian Cage, ROH champion.
Possibly.
Why not? But good. It gives him something to do. And if you're able to get any TV or anything with that, hey, I don't think he's going to whine about, oh, damn, you making me champion and putting me on TV. You jerked. Yeah, I'm sure that'd be awful. I'm sure he'd be devastated.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good way of kind of meeting in the middle. For some of the guys, I think at this point, Brian Cage actually doesn't make sense for AEW anymore. There was a time where he would have made more sense, but it's like, if I need a Haas fight, I got Haas's. We already covered. Like, I got tons of Haas's now.
You do.
We were able to have Haas fight because of that. And I look forward to future Haas fight. Yeah. We're going to have it because Keith Lee is going to be feuding a little bit with Team Taz, which means we got Powerhouse Hobbs and Keith Lee. Brace yourselves for a new Haas fight.
I'm down. Sign me up.
That's what I mean. Like, so we got plenty for as long as a lot of these guys have something to do and it's reasonable, and we bring back Miro and he can do something there as well. Like, there's enough guys. We're now in a good position. And this past show was a perfect example. So we got no Cody Rhodes, right? The last Dynamite episode had plenty of stuff on it. And by the way, CM Punk and MJF weren't even on the show.
Yeah.
And they were able to fill the time
recovering.
with no problem.
Did you like that match?
The MJF and CM Punk?
Yeah, the dog collar match.
Yes, because that was more of a story-based match. It was really, yes, they bled. They did a lot of brutalizing each other. That's kind of standard. They included a lot, though, of storyline elements. So I'll say this. Were you able to catch any highlights or anything from the match?
Not really, no. I mean, I guess a little bit, but...
Okay, so I would say just as a match itself, it was good. As a dog collar match, it was very good. I think what took it to the next level was they included the touches of storyline, which all made very much sense. If you remember, in the lead-in to the pay-per-view, MJF quoted a CM Punk promo from Ring of Honor, right at the same time as the Ring of Honor promo. In the pay-per-view, CM Punk came out to his Ring of Honor theme song. With his Ring of Honor theme song, wearing gear reminiscent of what he had at Ring of Honor, and more specifically, reminiscent of the gear that he wore at Ring of Honor when he faced off against Raven in a dog collar match. Get it? So, but what also plays into it is that we established that MJF is a student of CM Punk's career. So he would understand exactly the significance of what he just did. The ROH theme song, ROH style gear, dog collar match. All the pieces played right into that. So the storyline is being sold here. He decided to go, CM Punk went back to the well. He did a dog collar match, but he goes, all right, I haven't done one of these in a while. The last time I did it, though, I was decked out like this, and this was my theme song. So we're going to do it. So they go and they have their match, back and forth, all this going on. Lots of storyline, but they're brutalizing each other. And then, in the moment of truth, Wardlow comes down to the ring. MJF calls him down. He comes out. MJF wants the ring. Wardlow can't find the ring. All of a sudden, CM Punk hits him with the go to sleep. He looks over at Wardlow. What's Wardlow going to do? Oh, I found the ring. It was in the other pocket. Put it down right at the side of the apron and walks away. CM Punk looks with an evil smile on his face, grabs the ring, clocks MJF with it. Two storylines are being adjusted at the same time.
Yep.
Two. So, match, good. Dog collar match, very good. Storyline, excellent. That's why I said that Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa got screwed, because you got a really good storyline match here. You got a really good, these guys are kicking the shit out of each other match, and you sandwich this ladies match in between.
Yeah.
You're dead. Sorry, ladies, you're dead. And by the time the Bryan Danielson match and the Moxley match is going to be, you're going to have Steven Regal come out. Oh, we're screwed here now. Like, what are we going to do? So it's like, you have a William Regal return and a dog collar match with ROH references left, right, and center, and you stuck a standard women's championship match in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, you're not going to do it. Oh, and you don't even mention the new belt. It's like, I'm sorry, you told me you should have found a way to get this off the show. It actually didn't fit. And there's nothing wrong with what they were doing. It's just like, you're in the wrong spot. You got to be at the beginning of the show or the end of the show if you're going to have any chance of getting any attention. The fact that you put them there tells me you aren't changing the title tonight. So that is my answer to that. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, Carlos.
No Jeff Hardy? No love for Jeff Hardy?
Well, I did appreciate it's like, I'm going to come save my brother, but first, dance.
No, that was, like I said, like, look, this isn't quite deep analysis, Dave, but I think it's important. Number one, they were able to get the song from the original Hardy Boys song.
Yeah, that was.
Which I thought was good. That was good.
Yeah, obviously that's not a WWE owned.
Yeah,
song.
yeah. It's the band themselves has 3 or 4 songs that you can get hold of, and apparently Tony Khan made a bid for all of them, and they said, well, can we come and do a deal? And they said, yeah, no problem, sure, because they've been licensed for other things, so you can buy that license and they'll give it to you. So they were able to come to a deal, and for them it makes sense as a theme song. The Hardy Boys and everything that was their song for a long time, so perfect for them. That's great. So yeah, but yeah, I agree. His brother's getting pummeled, and they're ending the Hardy family, the AHFO whole thing, and Andrade's now going to have his clique. Matt Hardy is now out. Private Party's turned on in this whole thing. They're getting brutalized. Sting and Darby Allin come out. They're getting beaten. It's like, save us, Jeff. It's like, hold on, but first I must dance. Oh wait, hold on. I need to go down the ring now.
It was great, but it was almost like he's like, I don't know what to do. Should I dance or should I not? But the music's on and everyone's expecting me to dance, and fuck it.
Yep. Yeah. It's like short dance and then saving him.
Exactly.
I got a kick out of it.
And then when they came out on Rampage, he didn't dance.
The man has inconsistency issues.
Like, what the hell?
But he was also like in his gear. If you notice, they were in like Hardy Boys gear,
Yes.
like OG Hardy Boys gear.
Yes.
So it's like, look, I'm entertained at the same time that I'm confused.
Exactly. I will give you that. That applies to me as well, Carlos.
Yeah, it's like I'm entertained and I'm perplexed, but I'm amused.
Yeah. There's some good memes about it though.
Yes, of course. Listen, who am I to question? The repository from which we get additional memes. I'm pro meme here, Dave.
Me
As
too.
you well know, I'm very pro meme.
Yes.
So that's why I say here's the thing. I feel like AEW. This is maybe let me kind of summarize all this into this. I like a lot of things AEW is doing. I've been very pleased with a lot of the things. I think they're running really strong. I think some of the storylines are strong. I'm looking forward to Wardlow's thing. I'm looking forward to Haas Fight 2 with the two gentlemen I already mentioned. I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to that. MJF is probably going to screw Wardlow out of that championship opportunity because that's coming in this very next show. So brace for that. So that's coming. That's because on Wednesday he gets his title match. He gets it against the newly crowned, and let's touch on this one for a second. Scorpio Sky is your new TNT champion. Good for Scorpio Sky. He's that's his first singles title, his first opportunity. He's been going well, but now they've added Paige Van Zandt to the roster.
Yes. I also approve of that one. It'll be interesting to see what she's like as a wrestler. It's their answer to Ronda Rousey, I kind of think.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Paige Van Zandt is more likable. Even as a heel, like she's a lot more likable. Now, Ronda Rousey is more legit in the sense that she has the background and history. Paige Van Zandt had some success in MMA. Like, let's not discredit her. She had wins and she had success. What she was scrappy, but she got pushed to the top too quickly. So she never got an opportunity to fully meet her potential. But she was a legit fighter. She trained as a legit fighter, won legitimate professional fights against real fighters. So she has some credibility coming in. And obviously she's super attractive. So selling her is not going to be difficult. She has a name. She at least has a reputation.
I think doing it is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Executing it, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, she did Dancing with the Stars and stuff. And she was, she did okay. She did okay on that. It's not a dissimilar concept. The thing is, she's coming from an actual combat sport. The idea here is just to train you in the technique to do this without hurting anybody, but in a way to make it look good.
Yeah.
I like AEW's track record. Like, I'll point back to Ty Conti. I'll point back to Jade. They have a good track record of taking people with relatively little experience and taking them up a level. So if they're able to use that same kind of thing to help, and she takes it seriously and she's interested in really doing it, she could be a star. She could very easily be a star if she puts the pieces together. I have no issue seeing her being there not too long down the road.
No, for sure.
So I think that's so bottom line, my point there is there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of interesting stuff. Storylines are being furthered. FTR dropped Tully Blanchard. So what's going to happen with that? So Chris Jericho has turned on Santana and Ortiz, and now he's working with 2.0. So there you go. So now he's got a feud going with Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz, and him in 2.0 and all that going on. So that's that. But that's good because Chris Jericho's good at taking some of those young guys and then elevating them. Because the 2.0 guys are fun, but they're kind of like mid-card comedy fodder. Yeah. Well, with Chris Jericho, they get elevated immediately up a half level right away. True. And with him and Daniel Garcia's had some good matches against some good guys. So they're high on him. So if Chris Jericho helps elevate them so you're going to get more main event opportunities and more slots, that means by the time he's done with that group, they could be a step up. So he helps boost them up, and suddenly they become legit guys. And that means Chris Jericho's doing his job. He helped Santana and Ortiz And Sammy Guevara, when they started with that group, they had really no record in AEW. They hadn't really gotten started. Santana and Ortiz can now stand on their own. Sammy Guevara was TNT champion a couple times. He can stand on his own.
Yeah.
They're better than when he started with them. If 2.0 and these guys get the same kind of thing and they get bumped up another level, congratulations, Chris Jericho. You did it again.
Yeah.
So, like, I like a lot of the stuff they're doing, but I feel like I do need Tony Khan to, like, get some help. Get Steven get Regal, get one other thing to help you, because I feel like you're trying to run 57 things simultaneously and you're going to lose track of stuff because it's complicated. Because I'm a freaking genius, man. Sometimes I forget half the stuff, the shit that's going on. I'm watching it.
Yeah, that's true.
So keeping track of all the moving parts and the pieces and where everything should go, and it's actually very tricky. So we'll see. Plus, at our age in this conversation, my God, it's getting complex.
That's true.
Yeah. So that's that. I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of exciting things. Okay. Other than that, anything else we want to touch on? Is there anything WWE we want to mock? Because I always like mocking WWE a little bit.
No, I don't think so. Right now, there probably is, but like something else will come up. Yeah, you want to mock something?
I do.
50 whatever year old Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens, Stunner versus Stunner.
Yeah,
Please
but
mock.
it's going to be like, but it's the best part is it's not even a match. Like, he turned down the match. It's basically going to be like a confrontation. And it was like, you couldn't pay him enough money to try to do a match, huh? Stone Cold.
It's probably because he's like, I have a legacy here to protect.
It's not even that. It's also like he knows he's still hurt and he knows he's old. So it's like, yeah, I would probably die if I tried to do like a match at this point. It's been 20 years. I'm not going to be able to do a match at this stage. Yeah. 10 years ago, he might have been able to be talked into it, but not now. It's too late. But that the most, by the way, the tagline is still the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time.
Yeah, no.
It is the most stupid. This is the trashiest WrestleMania ever.
Honestly, just every match that gets announced is just, worse than the last one.
Okay, here's a better one to mock, though. This is a good one.
But, where at least we get Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin.
Facts. What's good is during the course of that stupid SmackDown, this most recent one, where Big E got hurt, they also reintroduced Pete Dunne. So Pete Dunne, who was in NXT UK, had success there, was the champion and everything, and then was in NXT. It was doing some good stuff there and whatever. I like Pete Dunne. I think he's a very interesting character, an interesting presentation. He's different than a lot of other guys, but he's been repackaged. He's no longer Pete Dunne. He is now hanging out with Sheamus and I think one other guy whose name escapes me. And now Pete Dunne is Butch.
Yes, I did.
And he looks like a paperboy from the 1940s.
Yeah.
Why would anyone willingly work for this company? How much are you getting paid?
Well, that's, I think, yeah, unless you're somebody like, there's the odd person though, right? Like, I feel like, I don't know for sure.
Well, AJ Styles is like the only truly happy guy who's like in that category. And Kevin Owens obviously is enjoying himself. He resigned, so.
Yeah. You don't think Roman Reigns is enjoying himself?
Well, sure, but he's a
minus the fact that she has got her voice box crushed by Bianca Belair.
I heard about that, but I didn't hear how, so what exactly happened? I was like, I know she was in hospital for something.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that, is that really what happened? Or are they like kayfabing? Like, she got injured. She was in the hospital. She got injured.
That part I believe. I believe she was injured.
But what actually was the injury? I mean, she says it was that Bianca Belair got her voice box.
Sure, yeah. Right. But you're going to blame your opponent there. But here's the thing. What if Becky Lynch stays hurt through WrestleMania season? Well, this is already really sparse. Like, this is not a good WrestleMania lineup as it is. And you're relying on so many old guys and part-timers and things. Like, you only 1 or 2 injuries away from being like, so who's left? Can we get Andre the Giant? He's dead. Can we get dead? But I haven't even told. I promise. Whatever you're saying, they're dead.
Can we get Rusev back?
Yeah, exactly. Like, dudes. It's like, you're fucked. You are dead. You're all dead.
But yeah, there's nothing on this card that excites me, right? Like, especially since I've been watching a lot of older, not that old, but couple years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years WWE stuff. I've just been watching a Finn Balor DVD, who I actually quite like him.
Yeah, he's good. He's excellent.
But it's like, man, they're just recycling this shit. Like, this all everything already happened. It's like, I'll just bring it back. And then guys who I feel like the guys they really should be pushing, who should be like getting good matches or whatever. Like, how about we get Finn Balor versus Drew McIntyre? I'm sure that's happened before, but I think that match right there is better than anything they have on the card so far.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah. No, it goes okay. So maybe this is maybe the best way to present it. The overarching theme of the WWE mockery segment, which may have to be a segment. Like I mean, like, look, bring shit to mock them for, and we're gonna do it.
You know, here's the thing. Like, I like wrestling, so I would like to like everything that WWE does. I would. There is very little that I do.
Yeah, but I think the overarching point that I want to come across here is, it's not just making fun of WWE for making fun of WWE's sake. Although I do like to mock things. That's kind of a thing that I do. However, they deserve it. They have on paper still, with all the cuts, all the things, I can go through that roster with you, and I can find lots of talented wrestlers who are more than capable of putting. I could put together an excellent WrestleMania card with what they have left. However, it's too late to make anyone care about half these people, because your presentation is your reality. When you're Pete Dunne and you're actually an excellent professional wrestler and they bring you back as Butch, even though you still look like Pete Dunne, except you're dressed like an idiot, even though Pete Dunne was on the main roster briefly as Pete Dunne. So you're basically saying your own audience doesn't watch your show. The premise here is that your audience doesn't watch your show. And we think you're so stupid that you forgot that Pete Dunne has already been here as Pete Dunne. And even though he looks like Pete Dunne and sounds like Pete Dunne, no, this is not Pete Dunne. This is Butch. Completely different guy. It's
also
the same guy.
Good memes around that.
Agreed. But think about that. Think about, like, literally he has been on TV as Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
With the little thing underneath, Pete Dunne. And now he's like, well, you're not Pete Dunne. You're Butch. What, does he have a twin?
Like when Walter became Gunther because of reasons.
But that's the thing. It's like, this is stupid. And if you treat your audience like idiots, at a certain point, they'll be like, well, I'm only an idiot because I'm watching this show. Maybe I should fix that. Maybe I should find something better to do with my time on Monday. And that's what happens. Eventually, a lot of those folks, and then they're hoping they can draw an additional.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean they're going to AEW necessarily. It might
Not necessarily.
mean they're just done with wrestling.
Yeah, AEW is a different style. Like I said, my statement has been the same. I've never claimed that AEW is perfect. My statement is I can watch more of that show and enjoy more of that show easily than I can a WWE show. So, between the two main options here, AEW is giving me predominantly a better show that I can enjoy more.
Yeah.
So that makes it easy. It's like, well, theoretically, I could watch both if I wanted to, but it's like WWE's show is so objectively bad, I don't want to watch it because it would feel like a waste of my time. AEW's show, if I don't like a segment, I skip it. It's not a big deal. And I can watch the rest of it and get some enjoyment from that. Mm-hmm. But just look at like I said, the Sasha Banks is going to be in the WrestleMania card as part of a tag team.
Why?
Sasha Banks was in one of the main events last year for one of the women's titles. And now she's in a tag team with Naomi, who also will never get anything. By the way, they'll probably win the women's tag team championships for all that means.
Yeah, really.
The worthless titles they are.
Sasha Banks, great wrestler. Why is she not in a singles match?
By the way, Sasha Banks has never won a WrestleMania match.
Really?
In her entire career. So this may be the first time she wins a WrestleMania match because she's part of a tag team where they're probably going to give them the titles.
Or maybe not. She's like the reverse streak.
I think she's going to win this one. I think this one they're like, all right, we'll throw your bone.
Is it versus Queen Zelina and Carmella?
Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's going to be just the two of them. I think they did that match this week. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to add more tag teams. So it'll be like a four-way
tag or something.
Yeah. But then I think that Naomi and Sasha Banks win. So this will be Sasha Banks' WrestleMania moment. Hey, you won something at WrestleMania. It's the most worthless titles we have, other than the 24/7. But still.
Yeah.
But still.
Telling you, man. There's still time. I mean, they could change it, right? We could still get Finn Balor versus Drew McIntyre, right? It's still possible.
If they did that match in this WrestleMania, it would be for the 24/7 title. Gentlemen, it is time for you to compete for the championship. And then Finn Balor's like, I am the U.S. champion. You're competing for the 24/7 title.
He's also the inaugural Universal Championship too.
I know
right?
this. Yes, I know.
Like, I don't know. I just don't.
I can see WWE doing that though. Finn Balor is the current United States champion. You will compete for the 24/7 championship, the most prestigious title since the Hardcore Championship. It's like, that was stupid too. Yes.
But it also made sense. It made more sense given the era, right?
To a certain degree, I agree with that. Look, if it's any consolation, this is what I'll leave everybody.
Man, Jerry Briscoe won it twice. 2-time Hardcore Championship, Gerald Briscoe.
Look at that. I like that. All right, but hold on. Speaking of the Hardcore Championship, you want me to tie this together into a beautiful little bow? I can break this full circle.
Carl, do it, and this is how we're gonna end the podcast as you tie this together. Let's do it.
I will. This is why I'm a professional, Dave. Get ready, y'all. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love this.
Ready.
So we're talking about the Hardcore Championship, and we're gonna talk about a former Hardcore Champion. So here we go. I will present this for you, and Dave, you're gonna have to explain it. Show what you say on the screen, and I'll give context.
All right.
Here we go.
So back to William Regal.
Yes.
It is a William Regal card
Yes.
where it's what is it?
It's Five Timers Club.
5-Timers Club. All right, and it's signed.
It is.
Beautiful
Now,
card.
What
Do
is
you
he?
own this card yet?
This is the card. I have purchased this card.
This is a beautiful card, man.
Now, I have purchased this card. He is a 5-time WWE Hardcore Champion.
There you have it.
Facts. And that, my friends, is how I tie this together. I actually did purchase that card the other day.
I want that card, man. Dude,
It tied together.
Beautiful card.
You see how I brought it all together? You see how I did that? Our William Regal talk. We're finishing up on the Hardcore Championship talk. How about 5-time WWE Hardcore Champion? 5 times. William Regal.
yeah, that's beauty, man.
So there it is, my friends. There it is.
That's a really nice signature too.
It's a very nice card. It's very nice. I will take some better pictures of it when I receive it in hand. But there you go. But that's the thing, guys. And that's from the Topps Chrome product. That was one of their better insert subsets that I thought was really good. I think they did a good job. But it's 5-timers of 5-time champions of all kinds of titles. But yeah, William Regal was apparently a 5-time WWE Hardcore Champion. Back when it meant something. It never really meant anything. But doesn't matter. It's a cool card. There you go.
Exactly.
So we finish off on the Hardcore Championship with Steven Regal. Yes. Landed the plane, Dave. Landed the plane. Did you see how I landed that plane?
You did, man. You did it excellently.
It is. All right. So I think we're good. I think that's it for this week. Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. All right. So that'll be it for us this time around. Podcast is on iTunes, Spotify. If you want to get the visual aids, including the beautificence, that was that beautiful card that I showed off that Dave was looking at, then you got to do it on the YouTube channel, Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast, all in the same name. And if you check it out on the Facebook, because reasons, then you get to watch Dave talk while I go get groceries. Yes! Live!
Even better.
I know, right? Anyway,
Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast, the lost episode.
Every episode's the last episode. There's always random shit in the middle. But anyway, that's it for us this time around. We will catch you in the next one.